But it is something Liam Cohen wants to try to emphasize and make teams have to respect.
Despite that, they've gotten to the playoffs. Wide open. Evans, touchdown.
What is going on, Bucs fans and CFP fans? Evan Wanish here, back at you with yet another video talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I am not alone today, as I am joined by my co-host of cannonfirepodcast, Mr. Rhett Matthew. Unfortunately, Rhett, we are here to cover the most impressive and disappointing from the Buccaneers' Week 5 loss in overtime, 36-30 to the Atlanta Falcons, dropping the Buccaneers to 3-2, dropping a pretty critical divisional game. How you feeling after this one, and your first thoughts after this one?
Just a game that down the stretch, you hate to see them lose it in that fashion, right? Felt like they kind of fumbled it away, no pun intended, and Atlanta just wanted it a little bit more, even into overtime. Offense marches down the field, threw the ball all over the Bucs the way that they did most of the game, and 45-yard touchdown caps it off. So disappointed, but we do have some good production to talk about.
For sure. And obviously with that, we are going to start off with the offense, and we're going to talk about quarterback Baker Mayfield. Quarterback Baker Mayfield is on our impressive list. Baker had, a really good first half. Now, he only threw the ball 8 times in the second half, and partly his fault, execution, whatever, partly the coach's fault out of his hand. But Baker finished the day 19 of 24 for 180 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions, a quarterback rating of 137.5. Thought Baker was really good today. What did you see out of Baker Mayfield?
He's doing a good job taking care of the football this year. I know he had maybe a couple of risky throws so far this season, couple of dropped picks, but really, he has been efficient for this Buccaneers offense. And again, you talk about that big productive first half against Atlanta on prime time, no less. He showed up ready to play. This offense has been efficient. He has shown that he's picking up Liam Cohen's system very quickly. And he's playing, dare I say, more confident than he was last year. I thought the interceptions would be an issue because, again, when you got a QB playing this confident, you start throwing the ball more. Maybe there's more room for error. But no, he's dialed in. He's shown that he can extend some plays using his legs, evade some pressure in the pocket, extend plays when he has to. He's playing really good football this year for Tampa Bay.
He definitely is. And now we're going to talk about his target, or his favorite target, I should say, Mr. Mike Evans. Evans, again, after having a strong day against Philly last week, comes out, has 5 catches for 62 yards. Is not the leading receiver for the Buccaneers. That was Chris Godwin. Edged him out by just 2 yards, but Mike Evans did have 2 receiving touchdowns in this game. So Mike Evans coming on strong here. 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games, and starting to look like the Mike Evans that we recognize now, right? Because I know Detroit and the Denver game, Mike Evans was basically eliminated from the game plan. I think the Buccaneers doing a much better job of getting him involved. What did you see out of Mike Evans?
Seems like every single week it is more history for Mike Evans. Last week against Philly, he becomes the Bucs' all-time leading scorer. And then this week against Atlanta, he gets his 100th career touchdown. Immediately throws the balls up into the stands, but he wants that 100th career receiving touchdown, which will be the next one that he brings in. Yeah, more of the same for big number 13. What more is there to say, right? Potential Hall of Famer one day when he decides to hang it up. One of the greatest offensive players in Tampa Bay Buccaneers history. And in a game like today showed that, A.J. Terrell and the rest of that Falcons secondary, they've got some really good players. Justin Simmons, Jesse Bates had a good day at the safety position. But Mike Evans is going to do what Mike Evans does, man. And that's catch touchdowns and find ways to get open. So big physical receiver, doing the damn thing at 31 years old. He looked good for this offense against Atlanta and showed that, yeah, he can still produce.
Moving on to the defensive side of things, and look like there's not going to be many, I think, on the positive end of the defensive side of the ball, giving up 36 points. Could have been more, and Younghoe Koo not had a field goal block, not missed a field goal earlier in the game. So with that being said, though, I want to shout out Lavonte David, who got his first interception, I believe, in 4 years. It's been a long time since Lavonte David had an interception late in the game. He had 8 total tackles, and I thought Lavonte, had a good game, and they need him to. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough, but I thought he had a good game, especially, with a guy like Jordan Whitehead going down. Jordan Whitehead, a good run defender, and I think Lavonte stepped up, in pass coverage, but also run defense as well. So I was impressed with Lavonte David today, and one of the few guys on the defense I think actually came to play.
Yeah, I mean, he's the equivalent to Mike Evans on the defensive side of the ball. Number 54 has been doing it so long this point that he is the standard of excellence on that Buccaneers defense. This is the game that you needed from him. These are guys that the Buccaneers have long expected to step up and make plays for their teams, and they did just that. Again, not enough to win the game in the end, unfortunately, but, I mean, the guy certainly did his part. KJ Britt, the other linebacker, kind of getting picked on in coverage, had a long night, but I mean, Lavonte David, he's going to do what he's always done, and that is just consistently play well and be one of the most productive players on this defense. The difference is clear when he's on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, really quick shout out to Logan Hall, 2 sacks in this game. So, with that being said, we are going to go on to the most disappointing. And look, it sucks that I have to put this guy on the most disappointing list, right? Because I think he's growing into a fan favorite. He's a rookie, but he had a tough day. And you could argue that there's 2 critical plays that both involve him. One was not his fault, but one obviously directly was, and that is Bucky Irving. I think Bucky Irving needs to be on the disappointing list this week. Had the critical fumble late in this game. If he doesn't fumble the ball, there's a good chance the Buccaneers win this game. There is a pretty good chance the Bucs win this game. The other play I was mentioning was that was out of his control was the missed face mask call, which obviously would have changed things a long way as well. But not a great game from Bucky. Hopefully he can put this behind him, not think about it too much. Hopefully, his confidence is not, shattered or anything like that. And hopefully, he can put that massive play behind him. But definitely, I think a game to forget for the young rookie running back.
Yeah, he's a great young player, and it is just a terrible luck of the draw for that to be your first career fumble. Like, there are so many moments where he could have dropped the ball beforehand. And that one.
The one time you can't. It's
right. Yeah, but again, you talk about his production: 9 carries, 44 yards, averaging 4.9 yards a tote. When he's getting the football, when he's running the football, he is still proving to be an asset for this Buccaneers run game. Bucky will bounce back. Got a good head on his shoulders, just like you said. Got to continue to play confident, not let this eat him up. And I think continue to play well, continue to work his way into this offense because he'll get. He'll get that one back.
Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, we have 2 defenders on this list, and was not a great day for Bucs linebacker KJ Britt. Was routinely picked on in coverage, as you had mentioned earlier. Did not have a good game at all. The Falcons made it a point to target the middle of the football field, and it worked to perfection. So KJ Britt definitely with not his best work.
Yeah, the Bucs going to be without Servassier Dennis, who is a better coverage linebacker, I would say. Maybe a little shiftier, a little faster in that role. But, the Falcons knew that this was going to be a mismatch pregame. They were looking at a guy like Kyle Pitts and the way that he matches up with KJ Britt, the athleticism there. And they were licking their chops. Kirk Cousins was attacking the middle of the field. It was a lot of soft coverage as well from this defense. But, wherever KJ Britt's zone was usually where a catch ended up as well. So, just a lot of stuff underneath that was given up, and then a couple of missed tackles as well. I believe he ended up running into one of his teammates later on in the game. So, he was doing some of the wrong kind of damage today for Tampa Bay. But again, he should hopefully bounce back. But I do think at the linebacker position, the Bucs are going to be concerned with that depth because Lavonte David at times was shaken up. Behind him, you got J.J. Russell. And if it's KJ Britt and J.J. Russell, I don't love that look, especially with Servassier Dennis still out a couple of weeks. So not only is that linebacker depth a little bit thin, but, I mean, he's just got to be better, got to tackle better, and hopefully he can build on it.
Definitely. Hopefully it's something that he can bounce back from and not, because like I said, he's played well at times, in the past. So hopefully he can bounce back. Also, really quick before we get into our last point here, the Buccaneers' top 3 leading tacklers all came from the secondary. Not a good sign. But we move on to say one of those top 3 leading tacklers was Jamel Dean, and he is the last player on our disappointing list. 9 total tackles today, but man, he had a tough time in coverage against Darnell Mooney in particular. And it would have been even worse for Jamel Dean had Mooney caught the ball on a critical 3rd down. Mooney would have walked in the end zone. Dean ended up falling down, got faked out of his shoes, and to me, it's been a disappointing season for Jamel Dean, but tonight might have been one of his worst games of the year. Hopefully he can bounce back because the talent's there, but definitely a game that he's going to want to throw away.
Yeah, both Drake London and Darnell Mooney finished with over 100 yards against Tampa Bay on Thursday night. And listen, Jamel Dean has been a little bit of a weak spot in this secondary. I know that he's had some plays that honestly go unnoticed. I think he has done some good this year in that, I guess, cornerback one role. You know, the hype with Zion McCollum is starting to build week after week. But, you know, there is some good that Jamel Dean has put on tape this year, but there's a couple of reps that you do see, whether he's falling down or getting burned over the top. Sometimes it looks like he just doesn't want to be there. And, you know, you need to see a more consistent level of play from a guy that, again, the Bucs put a lot of stock into when they moved on from Carlton Davis and decided that Jamel Dean and Zion McCollum were going to be their 1 and 2 cornerback in that room. Zion McCollum is, you know, really kind of having a great development so far, maybe been the best corner for this Bucs team so far in 2024. And Jamel Dean just got to start to consistently play a little bit better. That's what the Bucs are paying him for.
Absolutely. And hopefully he can for sure. But with that being said, let us know who are your most disappointing and most impressive players in this tough loss. It's something that the Buccaneers are going to have to bounce back from. But we are curious to hear who you guys thought played well, who you guys didn't think played well. Thank you all for the support on this channel. The videos have been doing very well. I just wanted to shout out you guys for a second. But let us know in the comment section below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And go Bucs.